Welcome to the Labyrinth. My guest today is Patrick Paumen from the Netherlands. He's a biohacker, cyborg, and a transhumanist with 31 microchip implants in his body, out of which 11 are magnetic chips and 20 are radio frequency ID, that is RFID implants. Patrick, welcome to the Labyrinth.
That's correct. Yeah, thank you for the invitation, for having me on the podcast.
Okay. Can you briefly introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
So, yeah, my name is Patrick, and I'm 37 years old. I'm from the Netherlands. In my daily life, I work as a security guard, and yeah, during my job as a security guard, I noticed that a lot of employees, different employees, they come into the reception desk at one of the office buildings where I work, and they forget to bring their access control badge, so they can't open the door. So they have to get a temporary badge. And yeah, you know, it's very human to forget things like keys and cards and wallet and everything. And yeah, it has the disadvantages. So yeah, in my opinion, it's very convenient to have implants, so I no longer have to worry about those.
Okay. Was it painful, the experience of putting microchips?
I think it's as painful as when somebody pinches your skin. That's about as painful as it gets. After the initial using the, for example, injection syringe, after that initial push, then it's not painful at all. It's no, it's fine.
Okay. Why did you start implanting microchips? I think you've already said that, but what are the practical uses of magnetic implants?
Well, how I started this, basically, I visit these conferences each year. Unfortunately, due to COVID, there were no conferences past couple of years. But since 2001, I've been visiting conferences. There are international hacker security technology conferences with talks and workshops about technology, about privacy. Yeah, a lot of different aspects. And in December 2010, I attended a conference in Berlin, in Germany. And this conference is called the Chaos Communication Congress. And at this conference, there was a lecture called Cybernetics for the Masses by Left Anonym. And this talk inspired me to start biohacking. Left yeah, explained about RFID implants to unlock doors, and explained about magnet implants, which you can use to lift objects. And but the main purpose for magnet implants is to sense magnetic and electromagnetic fields from short distances, because yeah, these fields are invisible. You can't otherwise detect them, but I can sense them thanks to the magnet implants. The magnet implants are typically installed in the fingertip. The fingertips are very rich with nerve endings, and if there's a magnet in the fingertip and the magnet is near a magnetic or electromagnetic field, then the magnet reacts to those fields, and yeah, it allows me to sense the magnetic field.
Oh,
okay. Because the magnet is slightly moving, either attracted to or repelled by the other magnet, and it moves the skin. So it kind of feels like if you would touch an object, but of course, it's invisible, and and this way I can explore an entire invisible world. I detect different magnets in different locations. Which might be obvious, of course. That, for example, there are magnets in the lid of the laptop, so that if you close the laptop screen to keep the laptop closed, and also to trigger that puts it in standby.
Okay.
And with electromagnetic fields, it feels like a tingling sensation.
Okay. What motivates you? What are the benefits of putting microchips in the body?
For me, I have multiple chip implants, and there are multiple benefits. I use them for multiple purposes. The main purpose is to unlock the doors at home, and the car doors and the doors at my hackerspace. The benefit is that I don't have to worry about forgetting or losing my keys, that I don't have to worry about locking myself out. I have one specific implant is for contactless payments, and where the benefit is that I don't have to worry about forgetting my wallet at home. I can use an implant for contactless payments, and that you can imagine the reactions I get from the cashier at the grocery store or at the fuel station.
Yes. What do people around you think about you?
The people think I'm unique. Some people, they think it's most people, they think it's cool, and there are also some people who think it's weird and strange, and but everybody is unique, and this is my way to gain more knowledge and experience about this subject. So if it gets as popular as, for example, piercings or tattoos, then there are at least some people who have the knowledge and experience to answer questions about them.
Okay. Some people say that RFID implants, they emit radio frequencies. Are you concerned about electromagnetic radiation or even cancer or any health effects?
The thing about these RFID implants is that they're passive devices. This means that they don't have their own power source. There's no battery inside these implants. It's just a small chip and an antenna coil, and it's the same technology as you would have in your debit or credit card and access badge and key fob. You can also compare to the chip implants that animals have, dogs, cats. They don't transmit any radio frequencies, any electromagnetic radiation on their own. Only when they are near an RFID reader that's compatible, because there's also different frequencies, low and high, and ultra high frequency. So at the moment, nothing is happening, but only when I hold my hand, with the implants, when I hold it near an RFID reader, then it within the reading distance, then it will get electricity and it.
Oh yeah, I can see the light. I can see the light.
Yeah. Some of my implants they have a light, and yeah.
Okay.
They have a light and they blink and which is also nice for me, so I can demonstrate how close you have to get to actually read an implant. So this is what I'm showing on the camera. This is an PET RFID tag reader, normally used by VAT to read the RFID tag from a PET, and you can see how close I have to get to the implant for it to light up, and also if I change the orientation of either the reader or the implant, then there's no magnetic coupling and there's no electricity. It won't read. And also the distance. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Are you
so the implants they have been tested by the manufacturer for safety reasons, and there are no health concerns. These implants, they're in a glass capsule, and glass is it doesn't get rejected by the body.
Are you concerned about privacy? Do you think someone can hack you because these chips are in your body?
I'm not really concerned about that. No, a criminal or a burglar, they wouldn't cut off my hand or something to gain access to the building. They would simply smash a window and or break a door to get inside. And in terms of privacy, I'm also not concerned, because the reading distance, as I showed, it's very limited. It's only a couple millimeters. You would have to know that I possess these, that I have these implants in my body. Then you would have to know which frequency, which communication protocol. You would have to know the location where they are inside my body because of the short reading distance. And I know what they can do. Yeah.
Okay. What do you think about bodily autonomy? Should a person be allowed to do whatever they want with their bodies?
Absolutely. Yeah. Our bodies are protected by national and international laws regarding privacy and bodily autonomy. So the government can't touch my body without my permission. Luckily, we're not living in the Second World War anymore, where the government would put tattoos on certain groups of people. It should always stay that way. This is my body, and it's my decision if I want to get a piercing or a tattoo or an implant. The piercing and tattoos, they're only to change your appearance, but these implants, they're practical. They add functionality to my body.
Okay. Then what about the COVID vaccine? In some countries like Austria, they're saying that it is mandatory to get COVID vaccine. Should it be a person's choice, or should the government tell people?
In the country that I live in, it's not mandatory, but it's definitely recommended to get vaccinated. but yeah, obviously it has nothing to do with implants. But yeah, I think for the benefit of the health of mankind, of the entire humanity, it's better to get a vaccine against a virus when there's a pandemic. Yeah, there are people who have underlying medical reasons that it's life-threatening if they get infected with the virus. So they either got very, very sick or they die from it. And yeah, I can yeah, it shouldn't be mandatory, but I would highly recommend getting vaccinated.
A lot of people, including me, are concerned about the connection to the COVID vaccine and privacy and also implants, because in some countries they're putting vaccine certificates in the form of an implant, in the form of a chip, where you can just swipe your hand and say, hey, look at me, I'm vaccinated. And this is making us a little scared, because we think that our body is our own and our privacy is our own. Does this concern you?
Well, as far as I am aware, it's not mandatory to get an implant with a COVID vaccine passport, but individuals are doing that themselves. They're people with chip implants. They're looking for practical uses that they can do with their implants to not only unlock the doors and to not only share contact details, but yeah, one of the things they thought of, it's individuals who came up with this idea to put a link to the COVID vaccine the PDF document to write that URL, the link to it on an implant. So if it's scanned, for example, at the entrance of a cinema or a restaurant or wherever, then it's easily shown. But it's not mandatory, and it should never be mandatory to get an implant. Actually, I also did this myself, where I used one of my implants because I have multiple, where I programmed my phone that with the shortcut on iOS. I programmed it that if this specific implant gets scanned, then it will launch the COVID vaccine app. It will launch on my phone. But if somebody else scans this implant with their phone, then you'll get a rickroll. It will launch a YouTube link to a Rick Astley video.
Okay, interesting. So you have a lot of microchips in your body. This is a very strange and a very philosophical question. Do you still feel like a human being, or do you think you're more of a machine or a robot?
I'm still, yeah, I consider myself a cyborg, but a cyborg is a combination of cybernetic and organism. So yeah, I consider myself human, but with yeah, with additional features. The implants, they're a part of my body, and I wouldn't want to live without them. Okay. It's very practical to be able to lift small objects. It's yeah, it allows me to lift objects like bottle caps or screws, needles, nails, paper clips, you name it, small objects. And it's a feature that not everybody has. And so yeah, I consider myself a cyborg. Human, but with additional features.
Interesting. Patrick, I think your video, yeah, you're back. Okay. If there is a way for you to become immortal by, let's say, by completely merging with machine, would you go for that option?
I would consider it, yes. I intend to live forever, and so far so good. Yeah, yeah, that's usually my motto. Yeah, I would consider it. Yeah.
Okay.
Where can I sign up as a volunteer?
I don't know. What are your opinion on these religious aspects? Do you believe in God, soul, or afterlife?
I'm not a religious person. I believe in science and humanity. I don't think there's such a thing as a God. I mean, in the past, they would use this God as a way to explain things that they couldn't explain themselves. How does this work? God did it, or there's a God for that. That's why. Yeah, but now we have science, technology to figure out the universe, to explain things scientifically, and it can also be proven with science and technology how things work.
Okay. So okay, interesting. So you believe in science, so and you don't believe in soul or afterlife, heaven, hell, and stuff like that.
I think they're fantasy locations to give people hope or something that there's something afterwards when they die. Yeah, that's what I believe.
Okay. Okay. And what is your opinion on these new technological advancements like smartwatches? Facebook has this whole Facebook is now Meta. They're coming up with metaverse and Google Glass and all these electronic wearables. Slowly human beings are getting addicted, and they're also putting machines in on their bodies, and some people like you into their bodies. Is this a trend that you think will become very popular?
Yeah, I think when I think about wearables, I think it's nice for a while, but eventually it will end up in a drawer to collect dust. It's yeah, for example, with the virtual reality glasses or augmented reality glasses, it's nice for certain things. Like if there's another lockdown, then you can meet in a virtual world. But it shouldn't replace all of human interaction with each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even I think, even I like human interactions as well. I like to be in nature. I don't know if it is a good idea to replace all of nature with technology. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. We should also preserve nature for as long as we can. The whole climate change going on. We shouldn't cut down all the trees in the rainforests because we need the air that they produce to be able to breathe and live.
Okay. Would you uh, would you want to, like, I think I've already asked this question about immortality, but let's say a big company like Facebook says that you can live in the virtual world forever and you can upload your consciousness into a machine. Would you, and there might be a lot of advantages, a lot of convenience in living in the virtual world. Would you go for that option?
If it was large companies like Facebook or if they're called Meta nowadays, or Google or Apple or whatever big company, commercial company, I wouldn't really consider it. I would prefer open source, open hardware development, where it's easier for technology specialists to look for backdoors, to look for bugs, to improve the product. I would be concerned about big companies to do this.
Okay. Have you heard of the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
There is a German man called Klaus Schwab. He's the head of the World Economic Forum. He talks a lot about things like Internet of Bodies, the fourth industrial revolution. He says in the future, it will be very common for all of us to put microchips into our bodies and make transactions with our hand, and we'll all be connected. All our minds will be connected through the internet. But many people, including me, are very skeptical of this, and we are also paranoid of this. We're a little afraid because we don't want some big corporation or some one world government to tell people around the world that you have to do this into your body, you have to connect, and we feel like that is a violation of our autonomy and privacy. Does this put any fear into your mind?
It doesn't put any fear into my mind, but because I know that our bodies are protected by privacy and bodily integrity. I'm actually one of the first, if not the first, to have a contactless payment implant. Originally, this was not an implant. So how I got this? At one point, I received a newsletter from my bank, the bank where I'm a customer at, where they were offering wearables for contactless payments. Wearables such as a ring, wristband, a watch band, a smartwatch, or a key fob. So I ordered a key fob. And when the key fob arrived, instead of putting the contactless payment chip, which has the shape and size of a small SIM card, instead of putting it inside the key fob, because as you know, wearables and keys and cards and everything can be forgotten, lost, or stolen. At first I contacted my bank and asked, does this contactless payment chip, does it have an expiration date? Like our debit and credit cards have. They have an expiration date and you have to renew it every couple of years. And initially they said that it doesn't have an expiration date. I can use it as long as I want. So I shipped a contactless payment chip. I shipped it to the manufacturer of my implants, Dangerous Things, and had it converted to an implant. They added the bioproof coating. So mine was the first prototype. And then I had it installed in my hand on the 9th of March, 2019. And 4 months ago, I received another email from my bank, which explained that it turns out that the contactless payment wearables the chips, they have an expiration date after all. They expire after 3 years. So I already ordered a replacement, and soon I have to replace the contactless payment chip implant. I have to replace it, unfortunately. But yeah. Yeah, back to your question. I think it's difficult to do such a thing. You know, to be 24/7, to be connected to the internet, because devices, they need electricity to function. And personally, I wouldn't want any implants that contain a battery. I wouldn't want it in my body, because as we know, batteries can leak or explode, and that's a health risk. I prefer these passive implants. I think it's it would be very challenging to have such a device under the skin and be connected. But who knows, maybe a couple of decades from now, it will be possible.
Okay. You put microchips inside your arms. Would you ever consider putting a microchip in your brain? Because Elon Musk has a company, Neuralink. I think you might have heard of it. He's coming up with the brain chip. Would you take that next step?
Yeah, actually, when Elon Musk posted it on Twitter about the Neuralink brain chip implant, I responded to that tweet and offered to be a volunteer to test it out, but he hasn't responded to my tweet, unfortunately. Because yeah, I'm curious. I'm interested in new technologies. Yeah, let's see where it goes. And but I would only consider it if it's open source and open hardware. Yeah, to find out how it works exactly, and see if there's any bugs beforehand.
Okay.
I'm not a programmer myself, but yeah, would let other experts look at it and see if there's backdoors or bugs or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. What are your future plans? What kind of new things are you planning to do?
Yeah, good question. Because technology keeps evolving. I don't have a. I'm not psychic. I can't look into the future. What's next? One of the prototype implants that I have, it's actually it's basically a smart card, and it's still a prototype. It's still in development. And this smart card implant, it's when the product is released by VivoKey, it will be called the Apex product. And what's possible with this is that you can also install applets on this implant.
You can
similar to how.
Sorry, you can install what?
You can install applets.
Okay.
On it. So similar to how you can install an app on your smartphone or tablet, you can install an applet, a Java applet. You can install on this implant. And yeah, because I already have this prototype, I installed a couple applets on it. One applet is to generate two-factor authentication codes, which enhances my privacy and security. I use those two-factor authentication codes to sign into yeah, my online accounts. For example, if I sign into my social media accounts, then not only does it ask for my username and password, but it also asks for an authentication code, which is generated by this implant. Because usernames and passwords, they can be intercepted, they can be brute forced by criminals, and yeah, the authentication codes and private keys, they're generated by this implant, and it doesn't leave this device, so it's more secure. Normally, you would receive those two-factor authentication codes. You would receive them by SMS text message, but SMS text messages are sent in plain text over the air, so they can get intercepted by governments or criminals. So this is a more secure way to do this. Another applet I installed on it is for PGP, pretty good privacy, to decrypt and encrypt and sign data and emails. For example, if I would send an email to a friend, then I can encrypt the email, the content of the email. I can encrypt it and sign it with the implant. And the benefit is here that that only the receiver can decrypt it, and they can verify that it was actually me who sent the email, and the email wasn't sent by a scammer. Okay. And also the government can't change the content of the email or intercept it. So that's added benefit.
And how do you put these microchips in your body? Do you do it yourself, or do you get a help from a nurse or a doctor?
I used to do it myself, but it's challenging because most of these implants, they're inside a syringe. They're the size of a grain of rice. They're inside a glass capsule, the implants. They're preloaded in an injection syringe. And how I did it myself, because normally you would need 2 hands for this procedure. I would lift the skin and hold it in place with a clothes peg to keep the skin lifted. And then inject the syringe under the skin. But nowadays I just visit a piercing shop and let a professional piercer do it.
Okay.
Because it needs to be done in a sterile environment to prevent any infections or other health risks.
Okay, that was very interesting, man. I have never heard of anything like this. I think that you are the first transhumanist with whom I'm having a conversation. Thank you for coming on my podcast. This was a very interesting conversation.
Thank you, and yeah, thank you for inviting me. Thank you to all the listeners. I also thought it was a very interesting conversation, and I'm happy to do it again if you have any more questions in the future.